Welcome back to the show. So, we're starting to understand China's infiltration of Canada, but let's dig deeper and we'll start with the money. Sam, your work exposed how Chinese organized crime laundered $7.8 billion through BC casinos and real estate over a decade. How did Canada become such an easy target for this kind of cash flood? And what's the link to Beijing's bigger playbook?
Well, my research shows that it starts in the late 1980s in Vancouver with major real estate developments linked to very high level Chinese tycoons. I can say now, let's name one of them. Li Ka-shing had a major real estate footprint in Vancouver starting around 86 to 88. It's estimated about 20% of the real estate development core of Vancouver or more linked to Mr. Lee and his
Wow.
associates from Hong Kong. Now, this is important because, as you know, Jonathan, the US administration has pointed to Li Ka-shing and other Beijing tycoons in Panama and said that, look, they're connected to China's government, and the US government geopolitically can't accept individuals like that having a lot of control over the Panama Canal. Now, let's link it back to Vancouver. My work showed that British Columbia casinos from the early 90s start welcoming in major investment, essentially, from offshore gamblers that come in to play in Canada's regulated casinos. They're betting incredible amounts of money because casino bets are risen up by the government. That is, limits are increased. And my work showed that they were carrying in cash. This was drug cash, and this was linked to what becomes known as the Vancouver model. So, in a nutshell, look, there are transnational drug gangs that are dealing back in those days heroin, now fentanyl,
Yeah.
methamphetamine, ketamine, cocaine. They are collecting cash from the sales across North America, is being warehoused in Vancouver and loaned out to these wealthy gamblers that are coming in from China and Hong Kong. And that money is cycled through Vancouver real estate. It's then sent back essentially to bank accounts in China, where it funds, in these days, in recent years, fentanyl precursors. So this is why I say, well, look, I established that billions, it's indisputable, are being laundered through the government casinos,
Mhm.
but my more recent estimates confidently, widen the Vancouver model to Canadian banks, Canadian real estate in Toronto and Vancouver. So we're talking hundreds of billions are connected to this Vancouver model money laundering. And I think that's part of what the US government is currently concerned about. In your first question, you asked, why should we be concerned? Look, this is affecting Canada's standing in the world, undermining our economy and our elections.
Yeah, it sounds like really this is the economic engine that's allowing them to do all these other things within our borders. So, my next question is: you've written about China's United Front Work Department and its role in tying business tycoons, criminals, and diplomats all together. So, how far back does this infiltration go, and why didn't Canada see it coming?
Well, the China, as I know from recent years in talking to the highest level experts in North America, China has many vectors of global influence. The United Front Work Department was really ramped up under President Xi Jinping, or General Secretary Xi Jinping, in 2012. This comes from Canadian documents now publicly disclosed due to my work. And so Xi, as other prior communist rulers, called the United Front China's magic weapon. So again, remember my first answer, China sends, encourages wealthy persons to go abroad. And even if it doesn't encourage them, it chases them down through its
Right.
intelligence arms and tasks them, pressures them, leverages family members, and essentially says, in a nutshell, you can do what you do, even though it's illegal, especially if it's foreign countries, but we're going to require you to produce objectives. What are those for the United Front? Those are surrounding, let's focus on Canada, Canadian political candidates, offering them support with the quid pro quo that once they're elected, they're going to, they will be pressured certainly to push forward policy for China that benefits China rather than Ottawa. And that's the United Front foreign interference playbook.
Right. It seems to me that they've really got these four arms. You've got their diplomatic arm, their military arm, their corporate arm, and their organized crime arm. And it's interesting that you're sort of seeing them surround Canada using those outlets. Would you agree with that?
I agree totally. And you've actually nailed it. And in fact, the United Front, we can see that in one of the Russian doll metaphor, it's that broad outer shell, which has a legal appearance, But going back to Zhou Enlai, who was under Chairman Mao as the intelligence boss, he said the
Mhm.
United Front shall hide the illegal. So with those shells, we have hardened intelligence operatives in the PLA and the Ministry of State Security, directing everyone at the outer cores to take Canada essentially through infiltration.
Okay, we'll have to stop right there. We'll be right back.